Welcome to AM Buffalo, all the way from Australia, Alex Park. You're making me feel a little homesick knowing you're
Hi, Mel. Listen, I'm sorry about that. And I only just got here, so I'm in quarantine, but I'm feeling like I'm here, even though I'm trapped.
A lot of people say to me, oh, when are you going to go and visit your family? And I'm like, it's not that easy. Like right now, it's 2 weeks quarantine. What is that process like? You're basically just locked in a hotel room for 2 months.
And I'm on day 4 here now. So I've got 10 more days.
Your parents are like in Sydney. Is it weird for them knowing that you're just like, oh, Alex is there in that hotel?
It is really weird. My mum came and dropped some things off and they've got, it's all very official. They've got to, go to the guards and they've got to check what's there. But then mum sort of popped her head out and I looked over the window and then I'm seeing my mum for the first time in a year and a half and I just bawled my eyes out. I was like, Mum! And it was, listen.
Yeah, that's intense, but yeah. Okay, 10 more days, you can do it. And then of course you're in Australia shooting a feature. Cool. Currently we can see you on Hulu because you have the show Everyone is Doing Great, which I love.
You can't fail if you don't try.
The show ended 5 years ago.
Yay! That's so cool that you love it. Yay, thank you.
Your big break in the United States was when you did The Royals on E!
This is why we don't spend any family time together.
You were Princess Eleanor.
Yes.
You also found out that you had type 1 diabetes.
Yes. So I was just in Australia hustling as the struggling actor that I was for the 10 years before. And I got the diagnosis, but I had plans to move over to the States. So I went anyway, even though the doctors sort of said probably best not to do that. And then I did book, the wildest dream job, which was playing Princess Eleanor on the Royals. So it was pretty wild. Yeah, I did spend sort of the next 4 years on the show learning how to be type 1 diabetic in this sort of crazy circumstance, flying all the way around the world. From LA, I went to London to shoot there and I was back and forth.
That's what inspired you to write your book. Because you found that it was something that a lot of people around you didn't really understand.
Type 1 diabetes, there's a lot to it. It's not like, you just take a pill or you take a shot and everything's fine as long as you remember to take your medication. It's really not like that.
Well, and even with this interview, like we were chatting just before we started, you said, hang on, let me just check. So it's something you have to think about all the time.
Yeah, so the mental health aspect is something that I really wanted to talk about and be very vulnerable about in the book. The book was intended to be for anyone out there who's dealing with a curveball that they've just been hit with and they're looking at this thing and they're like, how do I move forward now that this has happened?
It's kind of easier said than done, I think, because I imagine there must be a point where you're like, I'm just going to keep my journey to myself versus I have to give this to the world and I have to share my heart here. Like, what was that tipping point that made you dive in and write this book?
I think the tipping point for me was, and I absolutely went back and forth, and I sort of had this idea, I think, in the first season of The Royals, and I was, because you're in a good moment. Say you have a couple of good days of good blood sugars and my scenes are going great and everything's good. But then I'd have bad days and I feel like I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, why would I want to share this? But I think the tipping point for me was that I was doing it. I was doing both at the same time. And I wanted to share that it is possible. And I think that's really important because why should a diagnosis or, a curveball that you had no control over or say over or you didn't ask for change, the course of your life and your journey and what you want to do? And that kind of like got me going. I was like, I don't want that to happen to other young girls and boys like me who just think, oh, well, that's it. I guess there go my dreams, because it is possible. And that was the tipping point for sure.
Oh my gosh, Alex Park, I am so glad that you've written this book. Sugar High, it's out now. All the best for the rest of your quarantine and chookers for your shoot.
Thank you so much, Mel. So nice chatting to you. It means a lot. Yay.
Absolutely love her. Amazing. Alexandra Park, can she please be my new best friend? Really looking forward to reading her book. It's out now. It's called Sugar High. It's the unexpected journey of an inexperienced type 1 diabetic. Very inspiring. You can get it on Amazon.